in you. I love that line. So let's take a deep breath together. And let's just know in this moment that each one of us is the life and the mind of the divine in action. Just take that in, knowing that each one of us, the consciousness, is the infinite itself, living itself as thought and feeling in you and in me. And take in and affirm for just a moment in your mind's eye your spiritual nature as the beloved expression of all that spirit is. In your mind's eye, perhaps say that silently. I am the beloved expression of all that spirit is in me and as me, as the life that is spirit. And think to yourself right now that I am creativity. We're all creative beings. I am creativity. And maybe say silently that I am health and life and vitality and the perfect function of the divine mind. And know that every confused or disease-causing pattern in my subconscious is now erased. It's now erased, it's nullified, and destroyed by this truth that I have just claimed for myself. And you can also say in your mind's eye that my health is definite, eternal, and indestructible. And I rejoice and I give thanks. I'm grateful to know this truth. And know that as you affirm your perfect life, it enables your life to operate the way it was intended. The way that it was intended to operate. It lets spirit be spirit without our human self getting in the way. It does not tell life what to do. It lets life, under its own intelligence, do what needs to be done. To reveal the truth and to know right here and right now that we are standing on holy ground because we are here. We make it so simply by this acknowledgement. So embody this and know that you are here to release anything that no longer serves your higher good. Right? Know that you are this perfect spiritual idea in the mind of God, therefore the perfect spiritual prototype on this planet, and that you are not here to get anything. You're here to release who you are. You're here to release everything. That perfect, spiritual, beautiful, amazing being. Our theme this month is creativity. And as we said last week, both Reverend Rainbow and myself, that creativity is who and what we are. We're constantly recreating and creating, and it never stops. We're always creating, and we're always creating from many different places in our lives and many different emotions. We are creative beings simply by the very nature of who we are, and we're made of, one with, created by the very source of life, which is always creating, and that is spirit. It is the same source energy which caused us to press through into form in this time and place. Whether visible or invisible, spirit itself is always creating. So here's the deal. When we listen and respond for example, to our intuitive nudges, and we all get them, that soul's urge within that is seeking to express itself in, as, and through us, we get to dance with creation itself and bring spirit to life in new and infinite ways because we too are creating. Now we know that real creativity is the act of expression, not just the product or the performance that is created. It is the aliveness of the present moment, especially when we say yes to allowing Spirit to use us as a vessel of expression. Our life is the canvas, and our dreams and desires paint our unique picture. We have within us an infinite reservoir of pure potential, possibility, and power, knowing that we are sourced by the One. But see, that's a thing. You know, I can give you lip service all day, but we have to embody that truth. We have to know that we are sourced by the One power and presence. And each and every one of us is. You know, last week, Reverend Rainbow and I talked about saying yes to the yes. That there is an irresistible, universal, and divine urge within us to be happy, to be whole, and to express the fullness of life. The divinity within us stirs our imagination if we allow it, and it will proclaim itself through every creative endeavor. There's an irresistible universe and divine urge within us to be happy. Think about that. And the truth is, the universe is always saying yes. Yes? It's always responding to our thoughts, our words, our beliefs, and our feelings. And the law of cause and effect is unbiased and does not play favorites. That which we give the law to work with. What are you giving the law to work with right now? What are you giving the universe to work with? Because when we add the power of imagination and passion and enthusiasm and energy, what happens is the law will demonstrate that in response. We will demonstrate that in response. We also, last week, we also celebrated Reverend Cynthia because she said yes. She had that divine urge that wouldn't let her alone. And y'all know what I'm talking about, right? It just keeps nudging. It keeps on doing its thing until you do something about it. So this week, inside the topic of creativity, we're talking about dancing with inspiration. Dr. Holmes being the founder of Religious Science, Science of Mind, Centers for Spiritual Living. Dr. Holmes wrote, "The greatest music ever composed was written by the hand of a mystic, and the highest and best in art has come from people of spiritual perception and inspiration." One of my favorite passages is in an introduction to American roots music, because I happen to really like bluegrass music. And we read that the sounds are as sweet as mountain air, the lonesome drift of a fiddle, the easy pluck of banjo strings, the wailing notes from a harmonica, a romping guitar chord, the thump of a homemade drum, and a vocal moan. I love that. On the surface, that seems so simple, even fleeting, as if they were created to celebrate only the moment or to capture a particular emotion like love or loss. Yet, almost always they're drawn from a deeper place. And I love to use music as an example of inspiration, because when I'm talking about music, I'm talking about that place inside of us, each one of us, where our vibration and our energy is aligned with spirit and our passion at the same time. And the thing is, think about this, we each have a different sound. We each have a particular song that is who we are. We vibrate with that sound, or we vibrate our sound from within out. And it's how we present ourselves in the world. And when we are connected to the music of our soul, we are inspired and we become an example to inspire others. We become that living example. And inspiration, by the way, is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. And inspiration often comes in flashes, doesn't it? Flashes of inspiration. It is an experience of feeling. And I think we've all felt it at one time or another, been inspired by something, someone. But it's an experience of feeling your soul lifted above the cares and concerns of everyday life, right? Because when you feel this inspiration inside, everything else seems to disappear, doesn't it? You're in that moment. Inspiration is being in a state of mind where everything is possible, everything is clear, and when we feel at once, immediately at one with the universe. It's like a direct revelation from the universe pouring itself right through your very soul. Imagination, you see, may open the door of the house to possibilities, but you have to go to the basement for inspiration. Deep into the well of your soul, where the mystic lives in you. And you have to keep going back to the well, right? To sustain inspiration, it takes dedication. Holding on to what you believe or what you feel is true. Let me give you another example. Picture in your mind a candle burning. The flame on the candle needs oxygen to ignite it and for it to remain lit. Proper ventilation is necessary both for the flame to burn and for it to burn smoothly as the flame consumes the wick. If you do not give the flame oxygen, what happens? It goes out. However, no matter how beautiful or powerful the candle is, at the time of its burning, eventually the candle's going to burn down, isn't it? The same is true with our inspiration. Every inspiration, like the candle, burns down after a short while. What we want to do is not burn out. So, as powerful as the inspiration may be at the time, once it burns away, we have to exert ourselves to reignite the flame. We have to breathe air. We have to breathe air into the flame of our soul. And the flame is the Spirit of God living itself as each one of us. However, we cannot say that the soul is defined only by it being the flame of God, because the first description of the soul in the Torah and Genesis actually defines the soul as the breath of God. God gave life and formed the human from the dirt of the earth. He breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the human became a living soul. And in fact, the word for soul in Hebrew is nashama, which also means breath. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. As in the breath of life. Without the breath of the divine, the soul's fire will not have the power to come ablaze with passion. And passion is that sister to inspiration, isn't it? And imagination, I might say. It could be triplets. The flame may still exist, but only in a hidden state. We must breathe it into life. The fire needs to be ignited by the inspiration that comes through the breath. Your breath as the divine, along with your willingness to be inspired. Because sometimes we're inspired, right? But we don't have the willingness to carry that inspiration through. We don't have the willingness to continue to light the flame. So we need willingness to stand in the power of inspiration. And here's the thing about all of this, is we all have the responsibility to kindle our flame, to inspire the flame of our own soul, and in turn, to be that living example to inspire others. To live a life that's inspired. I know several people in this community that had an idea, that were inspired by an idea, and they carried the idea through and they became very successful because they had the willingness to put one foot in front of the other and see where this inspiration went. To see what could actually be done, what the potential was. Standing in their own power and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm inspired to do this. I'm going to do it. So it takes that willingness, and it takes faith, right? And that inspiration and that willingness to follow through inspires others. So even after the light burns out and the inspiration fades, we are charged with the call to regenerate our own light and illumine the world. Because once we're following through with ideas, what happens is we are affecting everyone around us, whether we know it or not. We're still that example that is affecting everyone. Oh, wow, can you believe what they did just from an idea? Wow. It is the flow of energy that moves us when we are in tune with ourselves. Because when you're inspired, don't you get a little excited about it? Right? And that energy starts to, start being fulfilled. You start, wow, I'm feeling good about this, right? It's the state in which we can create without effort. Because here's the other thing. When we have the willingness and we say yes and we're inspired, guess what happens? The law, the universe places everything at our feet so we can be successful. Because that's the energy we're putting out there. Bring it to me. Come on, I'm ready. Right? So our actions flow through us as our life, as spirit creating as us, because the universe is creating as us rather than us trying to make things happen. We surrender to the inspiration that we are experiencing and let it be. And the deal is we can find inspiration in everyday life simply by aligning our hearts and our minds with the unlimited abundance of life and consciously focusing on the possibilities that surround us. It can be something very simple. It can be a paperclip. How many of those have been sold? right? So just like imagination, we have to give ourselves the opportunity to be still and see by tuning into the magnificence of nature, by listening to beautiful music, reading inspiring words, by coming to community and connecting with like-minded people, or by looking at the miracles that are happening around us all the time, every day, every minute, every second. Or we can ask ourselves, what's missing? What gap can I fill? Feel. You know where that comes from, right? What gap can I fill that inspires me to create? As it takes this willingness not only to do the work, but to be a channel for spirit and for the inspiration. To stop and listen. It takes faith. It takes trust to step forward in possibility. It takes faith. It takes trust to step forward in discovery and newness. Because sometimes it's all new and we're not sure how it's going to happen or how it's going to end up. So you've got to let go of the result. Because you're now an explorer, right? So whether creating a new way of being with the people you love, or innovations in space travel, you have a light within which seeks to shine in wonder and radiance. It takes courage and curiosity to explore your dreams and your uniqueness. Cultivate courage by deepening your understanding of who and what you are as spiritual beings. Because Lord knows you are spiritual beings. Embrace this curiosity. I invite you to embrace this curiosity by connecting with others who are also walking a journey of discovery and potentiality. When you do this, you are creating from that same inner radiance. You are creating from the moment without influence from the past of not good enough, but instead from the now of I am. I am. I am the I am. So this week, I invite you to simply listen. Listen to what you are being called to. What is that nudge that will not let you alone? And I guarantee, if you say yes to that nudge, the universe will open up and pour through you the goodness and grace that you need to follow through on your inspiration. Deal? Deal. Okay, let's go into prayer. Dropping into that place of stillness, that place of radiant love, that place of knowingness, the well of my soul, the temple of my being. Dropping into that place where I know the truth. From that place, speaking the truth of the one source of all, the invisible made visible, the one source of all things, creating out of itself only what is like itself, never diminished by its creation, ever expanding, ever inspiring, ever imagining. I know this source as the one power and presence that we call spirit, that we call the universe, that we call so many names: God, love, Muhammad, Jesus, Shakti, Moses, whatever. Just a word. But it is that energy of connection, the energy of truth, which recognizes itself as love, which recognizes itself as abundance and prosperity and joy and peace and wholeness and all of these things. It is from that recognition and this knowingness that I lie open to the infinite as I speak my word for each and every individual in this community and this community itself and everyone within the sound of my voice, knowing that each and everyone is the same power and presence as the one. That the same joy and love and abundance and prosperity and wholeness and power, it is all right here, right now, as each and every person within the sound of my voice. And so it is from this place that I know that regardless of any experience or condition that may be happening right now, the truth is that God is right where we are. God is right where you are, calling you forth, nudging you to that inspiration that will not leave you alone. And so I know that this grand nudge, this soul expansion, is simply Spirit calling forth the grander, greatest idea and the grander, greatest potentiality to rise up into the moment and stand in the power of what is being called forth, knowing that the universe supports each and every person in this potentiality of inspiration. I know that right here and right now, regardless of any lack or limitation, that God cannot be denied or delayed. And so, anything that might stand in the way or anything that no longer serves the highest good of this community and each and every person within it is absolutely dismissed. Dismissed. For only goodness and grace is fully present right here, right now, is the very livingness of Spirit. And so I know that dreams are possible. I know that inspiration is possible. I know that imagination is fueled right here and right now. And all is opening to support this grandest divine idea of a world that works for all. And so I give thanks to know this truth. I give thanks to speak this word. As I release my word into the perfect universal law, knowing that the law always says yes, it always says yes, it always says yes. Standing in the power of yes, the place of grace. Shalom, Dalela Ashe Namaste. This prayer is done. I leave it knowing it is so, and so it is. Amen.